Eric Kane, Rob Lewis, as we chat defensive line here, previewing the 2022 season. Rob, I think one thing's for certain, right? The defense did take a step in terms of some things like tackles for loss, but really to help out that secondary, you need to get a pressure on the quarterback from a four-man rush.
To me, when you look at the front seven, and especially when you talk about the secondary, which has got some, they got some question marks. We're talking about the DL here, so let's not get sidetracked.
Yeah.
But the best way to help them is with a pass rush. And Tennessee's got a couple of candidates there who I think we both agree have the ability, have the potential, but can Byron Young, can Tyler Barron take that next step? Young flashed last year, he had 5 sacks, Barron had 4, but you get the feeling there's more for both of those guys.
Yeah, I would agree, and I think that another step is attainable for Byron Young, a guy that's going to get preseason All-SEC. Some other plaudits have already awarded him that, but a guy in Tyler Barron that I've heard you in years past really even say, hey, I think he's playing out of position. Well, he's moved to that 5 technique where Jaquan Blakely played last year. I think that'll be better for him, but at the end of the day, he's got to stay on the field.
Yeah, he's got to stay healthy, but physically, with his body type, I mean, he can hold up in there. I mean, I think he showed that last year. I think he's had another good off season. So, I don't know. All-star candidates might be too big of a word, but I think Young and Barron can both be impact players. The bigger, they've got to do it. They're not. You can't write them in stone as guys who are going to get 8, 9 sacks. But the bigger concern for me is inside and inside depth.
Yeah, and I was going to say, I think that's where it's going to be strength in numbers. You lose Matthew Butler, and that's a huge loss. Caleb Tremblay, Jaquan Blakely, as we mentioned. But you do return a guy in Latrell Bumpus. You return Karak Garland, who saw a lot of action last year and obviously in spring. You've got Amari Thomas, who I believe is the leader up front there. You've got DJ Terry, young guys like Jordan Phillips and Tyree West, and Elijah Simmons, a guy I hadn't even mentioned yet. Those are the numbers and the quality depth that Tennessee's going to need to rely on and obviously step up and produce.
Yeah, to me, the big one, Amari Thomas, you mentioned, he's kind of emerged as a leader. He's the guy that I think is most capable of elevating his game to another level, taking it to another place where he can be, kind of the stalwart that Matthew Butler was for you there last year. And Elijah Simmons is just, he's a flat-out wild card.
Yeah.
We've been talking about him for 2 years now. Is he ready to, to stay in shape? Is he ready to cut some weight and to where he can, play with endurance is not such an issue? But he's one guy I think that has just scratched the surface of what he can be in the middle, and they need him to come on.
Yeah, some guys we've mentioned already, and we'll kind of close with this, but some freshmen, Tyree West, Jordan Phillips, Jason Jenkins, who's come in here and already put on some really, really good weight. I think we both can agree that Tyree West will probably play himself into that rotation. Jordan Phillips, we'll see about that, but what do you think kind of from those group of 3 guys on the defensive line?
Well, I just think it's always really tough. I mean, this isn't rocket science, but it's really tough for a freshman to come in and play in the trenches in this league, at least play and be productive. But, being here to the spring, like West was, like Phillips was, that's a big help. And, can you just find a situational role for those guys? I mean, they don't have to be somebody that plays 25, 30-plus snaps a game for you, but can you get 8, 10, 12 snaps out of one of those freshmen to kind of ease the burden on your veterans?
Will somebody take a Matthew Butler-like step this year, and if so, is that going to be Amari Thomas?
For me, it is.
Yeah.
I mean, if there's a guy that you point to and say, hey, this is the one dude that can really bring a lot more to the table than he's shown so far, I think it's Amari.
And for me, it's going to be Elijah Simmons. Can he stay on the field? Can he do what he needs to do to be more of a durable player? Because I think the talent level's through the roof. But those are the 2 guys I'm going to be looking forward to. But regardless, Rob, defensive line, it's got to do better. Like we started out by saying, a 4-man pass rush to help that secondary, and you got a lot of veterans up front to help with that, and certainly some guys on the edge and some newcomers like James Pierce and Joshua Josephs. For Rob Lewis, I'm Eric Kane as we chat defensive line here for Tennessee Football 2022.